Um, there's someone in your life whose name carries the letter R, and you may have been sensing that something feels off about them, that the version they're showing you doesn't quite match the energy underneath. You're not imagining it. Some people are skilled at presenting one face while hiding another, at performing closeness while maintaining secrets, at making you feel like you know them when you're only seeing what they want you to see. Let me describe what this feels like. You may have noticed inconsistencies with this person, stories that don't quite line up, explanations that feel rehearsed, moments where their mask slips and you catch a glimpse of something underneath that doesn't match the surface. Some people experience this as a nagging feeling, a low level discomfort they can't quite articulate, an instinct that whispers something's not right here, even when they can't point to specific evidence. It might feel like you're being paranoid, like you're reading too much into small things, like you should give this person the benefit of the doubt because everyone deserves privacy and you're not entitled to know everything. But there's a difference between privacy and deception, and what this person is doing crosses that line. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, is there someone whose name contains the letter R who you've been making excuses for? Maybe their name starts with R: Ryan, Rachel, Rebecca, Robert. Or maybe R appears in their name: Sarah, Marcus, Caroline, Brandon. You may have been dismissing your instincts about this person, telling yourself you're overthinking, that you're being too suspicious, that you should trust them because they've given you no concrete reason not to. It's possible your instincts are trying to protect you from something your conscious mind doesn't want to see yet, because seeing it would require action, would require confrontation, would require ending or fundamentally changing a relationship you're invested in. Some people would rather stay in comfortable deception than face uncomfortable truth. They'd rather pretend everything's fine than deal with the reality that someone they care about is lying to them. You may have been one of those people, choosing ignorance because knowledge would be too disruptive, too painful, too complicated to navigate. But ignorance doesn't actually protect you. It just delays the inevitable while allowing the deception to deepen. It can feel safer not to look too closely, not to ask too many questions, not to connect the dots. You're starting to see forming a pattern, but safety built on lies isn't safety. It's just a comfortable illusion. And illusions shatter eventually, usually at the worst possible moment. This reflection invites you to consider, what have you been choosing not to see about this person? There's something specific about what dark means here. It's possible dark doesn't mean evil. It means hidden, shadowed. The parts of themselves or their life they're deliberately keeping from you. Maybe it's another relationship, someone else in their life you don't know about, someone whose existence changes the entire context of what you thought you had with this person. Or it's about their past, things they've done, choices they've made, a history they're concealing because they know it would change how you see them. Some people hide entire dimensions of themselves. They compartmentalize, show different versions to different people, make sure no one has the full picture because the full picture would be damaging. You may be seeing only the version of this person that's been carefully curated for you, the persona they need you to believe in, the story they need you to accept. But personas crack under pressure. Stories fall apart when details don't align, and you're starting to notice the cracks. It can feel like you're in a detective story, piecing together clues, noticing things that individually seem insignificant, but together paint a concerning picture. Maybe they're secretive about their phone, protective of their space, vague about their schedule, defensive when you ask simple questions that shouldn't trigger defensiveness. This reflection invites you to consider what specific behaviors have been making you suspicious. Let me talk about why people hide things. It's possible this person is hiding something because they know it would change everything if you knew, not because they're protecting your feelings, but because they're protecting their access to you. They need you to believe a specific version of reality, because if you knew the truth, you'd make different choices, you'd set different boundaries, you'd require more, or you'd leave entirely. Some people lie not because they're evil, but because they're selfish. They want what they want, and the truth would interfere with getting it. So they manage the truth, control the narrative, feed you pieces of reality mixed with fiction. You may have been accepting this person's version of events without questioning, taking their word for things, believing their explanations, even when those explanations felt incomplete. But trust isn't the same as blind acceptance. Healthy relationships can tolerate questions, can handle scrutiny. Don't fall apart when someone asks for clarity. It can feel like questioning someone means you don't trust them, like good people don't interrogate their loved ones, like asking for proof is insulting. But requiring honesty isn't insulting, it's self-respect. And someone who gets defensive when asked simple questions is usually hiding something worth defending against. What you might discover is that this person has been living a double life, not in a dramatic TV show way necessarily, but in the sense that who they are with you and who they are elsewhere don't match. Some people maintain entirely separate realities, different friend groups who don't know about each other, different versions of their story depending on who's asking, different commitments that contradict each other. You may be discovering you're not the only person who thinks they have a specific relationship with this person, that what feels exclusive to you might not be exclusive at all. It can feel devastating to realize you've been lied to by someone you trusted, like the foundation you were standing on was never solid, like everything you thought you knew needs to be questioned. But better to know than to keep building on false foundation. Better to see clearly now than to discover the truth years from now when you're even more invested. This reflection invites you to consider, if you discovered this person was hiding something significant, would you confront them or walk away? There's something about your response that matters here. It's possible when the truth comes out, you'll want to make excuses for them, to minimize what they did, to convince yourself it's not as bad as it looks, to find ways to stay, because leaving feels harder than staying. You may have a pattern of accepting unacceptable behavior from people you care about, of lowering your standards when someone you love violates them, of choosing the relationship over your own self-respect. Some people do this because they're afraid of being alone, afraid they won't find better, afraid that calling out deception means they're difficult or unforgiving or too demanding. But you're not too demanding for requiring honesty. You're not difficult for having standards. You're not unforgiving for refusing to accept lies. What you need to do is trust yourself more than you trust their explanations. Trust your instincts more than their justifications. Trust what you've observed more than what they're telling you to believe. It can feel harsh to prioritize your perception over their version, like you're being unfair, like you should give them a chance to explain, and maybe you should hear them out. But you don't have to accept an explanation just because it's offered. You don't have to pretend something makes sense when it doesn't. What you might need to accept is that this person isn't who you thought they were, that the relationship was built on false information, that you were making decisions based on lies. Some people stay with liars because acknowledging the lies means acknowledging their own judgment was off, means admitting they were fooled, means accepting they invested in something that wasn't real. You may struggle with that, with the ego hit of being deceived, with feeling stupid for not seeing it sooner, with embarrassment that you believed someone who was lying to your face. But being deceived doesn't make you stupid. It makes you human. It makes you someone who assumed good faith when someone was operating in bad faith. It can feel like you should have known, like the signs were there and you missed them. Like if you'd been smarter or more aware or less trusting, you could have avoided this. But hindsight is always clearer. And beating yourself up for not seeing what someone was actively hiding from you isn't fair to yourself. Let me talk about what happens when truth emerges. It's possible the revelation will come from an outside source, someone else telling you what this person won't, a mutual friend who can't keep the secret anymore, a circumstance that exposes what's been hidden. Or it might come from the person themselves, a confession, a slip, a moment where they can't maintain the lie anymore and the truth spills out. Some people confess when they're about to be caught, not because they want to be honest, but because controlling the narrative of the reveal feels better than being exposed. You may need to evaluate their honesty based on whether it's voluntary or forced, whether they're coming clean because they want to or because they have no choice. Because forced honesty isn't the same as genuine transparency. It's damage control. It's minimizing. It's admitting only what they have to admit and hiding what they think they can still hide. It can feel like progress when someone finally tells you truth, like you're getting somewhere, like the relationship can heal now that things are out in the open. But ask yourself if you're getting the whole truth or just the parts they're comfortable revealing. If they lied for this long, are they really telling you everything now? Or just enough to stop you from digging deeper? You remain in complete control of what you do with whatever you discover. You can confront, forgive, leave, stay, require proof, demand accountability. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought up a specific person, maybe dread about what you might discover, maybe relief that someone's naming what you've been feeling, maybe denial because accepting this means major changes. Whatever it is, honor it. Take what resonates. Softly release the rest. Trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. Is there someone with the letter R in their name who you've been making excuses for? Drop just yes or no in the comments. And this, if you discovered they were hiding something major, would you need proof or is your instinct enough? Someone with letter R is hiding something dark from you and it will shock you is less than has hone. Zero hash is greater than, not because the truth itself is necessarily dramatic, but because the contrast between what you believed and what's real is going to be jarring. You thought you knew this person. You thought you were on solid ground. You thought the relationship was based on honesty. And discovering you were wrong about those assumptions, that's the shock. Not eventually.